On this episode of Latinas, we'll get a taste of Latino comfort food, learn about the Goddess Council, celebrate Pride Month, and so much more. Stay tuned. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nuestras mujeres in the Latinx community. I'm Tinabeth Piña. Today I still find myself sheltering in place at my mom's house here in Easton, Pennsylvania. And while the coronavirus pandemic has had us all in lockdown and sometimes feeling scared and alone, I found one women's group that's offering inspiration and motivation in these trying times. Let's meet the Goddess Council.
So what steps will you take today to cultivate joy, grounding, and connection?
I've been doing this after work every day for 2 years, so it's kind of just becoming this thing now that I'm kind of seeing the fruits of my labor take off, and I'm just really lucky and proud that everybody's coming together in this way to make it whatever it's meant to be.
Dominicana, Kat Lantigua, founded the Goddess Council in 2018 to bring like-minded women together to foster connection and sisterhood. But this past year, it transitioned into a virtual hangout due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Interestingly enough, we never pictured doing anything virtually. Like, our goal was to get people offline and in person, because so much of what was happening before this is that we weren't really connecting in like a genuine and authentic way in person anymore. And so this is something I never pictured myself being open to, but the fact that we are now creating these intentional gatherings where people are meeting up virtually and they're having these video calls for a reason instead of something passive, I think has been really beautiful.
So the amount of friendships that I have built after the coronavirus have been so much more than what we could ever have done if we were only meeting in person. So this has only opened up another avenue for us to really spread our message and spread our community.
I've never been to one that I didn't just feel so nourished and uplifted by. It's truly a special space.
The Goddess Council's meetups are free and happen 4 times a week.
There are a lot of people who are lonely and don't have anywhere to go. So I think in a lot of ways we've kind of positioned ourselves within the wellness space, and we're trying to really raise awareness around the effects of loneliness and not having community. And I think now more than ever, now that we're in isolation, we're kind of seeing how all of that is coming together.
According to a recent Kaiser Family Foundation poll, 56% of Americans reported that worry or stress related to the coronavirus has led to at least one negative mental health issue, including trouble with eating or sleeping, drug or alcohol misuse, shorter tempers, and other health problems. The Goddess Council meetups try to lessen those negative effects by having everything from exercise and breathing workshops to journaling and venting sessions.
And what Kat has done is created organically a space where women can sit and talk about the things that they're not talking about necessarily with their roommates or their partners, and things that maybe they're embarrassed or uncomfortable to bring up in their workplaces. And we're able to build ideas and essentially launch movements in this third space.
These conversations are super important. We have things such as early rise writing sessions, we have happy hours, we have general check-ins. So it's super important for us to be able to reach people where they are, which is right now in their apartments.
As a Latina, Kat is very proud of what she has been able to accomplish for this global community of women.
How awesome is it that this is such a positive outcome from all the negativity that's around us right now?
I think that I've often reflected on how this is, a silver lining. And I know that a lot of people say silver lining these days, but yeah, it really has become something completely different that I would have never imagined had COVID-19 happened. And, obviously it's a very sad time as well. And there's a lot of struggle, but I'm glad that we can do something and we can create some semblance of joy and community for people that need us.
Do you have a craving for some Latino comfort food, the kind that reminds you of Abuelita's kitchen or Mommy's cooking? Well, you're in luck, because Elena Romero stopped by some of the city's most popular Latino restaurants before New York went on pause to bring you El Sabor Latino.
We can all agree that no food is better than un antojo or comfort food. And for Latinas, those dishes can vary by patria and food preference. Let's start with arepas.
The simple Colombian comfort food. It's like our version of bread. You know, you dip it in anything. You could dip it in hot chocolate. You can eat it with candy, eat it with cheese, eat it with meat, with vegetables. It's just very versatile. It goes with everything.
Notable in Colombian and Venezuelan cuisines, arepas are served at Scowl Brooklyn with a side of chorizo, empanadas, and fritters.
I love it with yellow corn. It gives it a bit much of like a little bit sweeter taste to it.
Sancocho, a hearty stew found both in Caribbean and Latin American cuisines, is a weekend favorite. Made up of various meats, root, and traditional vegetables, it's accompanied by a side of white rice and avocado. We checked out Malecón restaurant in Washington Heights to get the secret behind its Dominican version.
We believe after 33 years making it, we have perfected. Some restaurants, they made sancocho just with one meat. We like to make it with a few. In our case, we put oxtail, guinea hen, smoked pork chops, and a lot of vegetables that are very good for your health.
No comfort food list is complete without highlighting mofongo. The Puerto Rican plantain-based dish has West African fufu, Spaniard, and Taino influences. We visited La Fonda Boricua in El Barrio to sample all of its dish varieties.
For example, if I'm making this one, which is a particular sauce, I put in the pilon, in the mortar, I put some of that sauce. So when I mash it, already the plantain has some flavors related to the food that we are combining it with. So you have to mash it very well, and have enough sauce or liquid there that doesn't get too mushy but not too dry.
Whether a hearty dish or a simple aperitivo, one thing's for sure, you'll never get tired of eating them. Best of all, the restaurants we met with are all open for takeout. I'm Elena Romero for LATiNAS.
Enjoy Takeout and these top 5 lesbian-driven films during Pride Month.
Latinx, Latina, Hispanic. Which is the correct term to use? Is there a correct term to use? Or do you just prefer using one term over the other? Those questions are about to be answered on today's Caliente Caliente.
Latinx, I'm going to be very honest, it really has taken me some time to kind of embrace it. I think I have embraced it more out of respect for the generation that prefers to use it. I identify myself as a Black Latina, right? And so I used the vowel A, right? Because I am a woman. It's a different shift that I think for many of us in our generation, it's taken some time,
Because, it's a new term. It's relatively new that people are using. Not everybody knows or uses it. I know for me, I identify as Latina or Afro-Latina, as you said, because I'm a woman. That's what you said, like Hispanic, when we were growing up, like Hispanics, like you're not from Spain, you're from Latin America. So, and I take pride in that. So, and I, again, don't denounce or against people using Latinx. Like I appreciate it, and it's like, okay, this is your empowerment. If you want to say Latinx, then go ahead. And I have used it, but I use more Latina.
We have so many labels today, right? Like just all across. Latinx is completely new to me. You just educated me even more on, because I'm still not quite sure about, because that is the newest. I would say definitely Latina. I know the whole Hispanic thing. Remember when we went from Hispanic to Latino, Latina, and then people like, no, I'm not Hispanic, I'm Latino. No, I'm not Latino, I'm Hispanic. it almost makes me feel like, and you let me know, ladies, how you think, that's just another way of us like dividing and separating ourselves, right? I don't know, what do you think about that?
I think it goes with the movement that is like the she, they, he, like what's your pronoun? Like you got to remember that now, or people putting it in their signatures. Like it's just giving, I guess, people who felt like they didn't have a voice, like, or didn't identify as Latina or Latino. It's like, just put the accents, like, you figure it out, or ask me and I'll tell you.
Right. I think it's just us adapting. And I see what you're saying, you know, another way to slice and dice it. But I definitely see it more as, you know, if this is not how I identify, I want to be able to find something that feels more comfortable, you know, to me, right? And I'm like, at the end of the day, you may not accept it, you may not, you know, want to use it, or it may still, but you just we have to respect it.
It's exposure, right? And so we have to make sure that we're mindful, that we, even if we don't identify as a one way, that we understand how people, why they do and how they identify, and respect one another's, but, you know, just respect each other's, you know, how we identify.
Isabel Vargas Lizano, better known as Chavela Vargas, was a Grammy Award-winning singer who was best known for her rendition of Mexican rancheras. She rose through the musical ranks in the 1950s as a darling of Mexico City's bohemian club scenes, where she revolutionized a new ranchera style of music by not only taking liberties with the tempo, melodies, and lyrics, but also dressing in men's clothing while she belted out rancheras intended for men to sing. Although Vargas struggled with alcohol problems and vanished from the stage in the 1970s, she reemerged in the early 90s and launched a remarkable international comeback, championed by Spanish filmmaker Pedro Almodóvar, who used her music in several of his films. At 81 years old, Vargas officially came out as a lesbian in her autobiography, Y si quieres saber de mi pasado. Although Chavela passed away in 2012 at the age of 93, Vargas was posthumously inducted into the Rainbow Honor Walk of Fame last year and is considered a cultural icon in the Spanish-speaking world. Chavela Vargas is today's Bad Ass Latina.
What would you do if you found out you were pregnant during the pandemic? Film producer and actress Paola Baldion tells us her story of being quarantined and expecting during COVID-19.
Interviews for LATINAS, take 2. Hi, my name is Paola Baldion. I am an actress and a producer originally from Colombia. I live in Los Angeles, and I am currently 5 months pregnant. I found out very early in January that I was pregnant. We have heard about coronavirus in China, but it was something that it was still very far away. Then came February, we started to hear more news. My father is from Italy, so I have family in Italy, so we could hear information coming from them. I also have family in Colombia, and Jamie has family in Australia, so we're getting different kinds of information. And at that time, we started to be a little bit more alert of what was about to happen. And because I'm pregnant, we decided to isolate ourselves very early on. So I think on March 1st was the last day where we actually saw people. It's been a very interesting experience, certainly one of a lifetime, and we have been doing our best to just stay positive and trying to find a silver lining out of all of this. We have been doing a lot of work in terms of our health, in our physical health. We found out, my husband and I, a daily routine where we go for a walk. We also do like an hour workouts while Jamie works in his mat. I do online prenatal yoga and online prenatal workouts, which I actually love. I feel like they really have kept me strong and healthy. And also, Jamie started to build a veggie garden with our neighbors, because we didn't really know what was going to happen or how long this quarantine is going to be, and what if we run out of produce, what's going to happen. So we just decided to build a veggie garden, which is growing right now. I am very, very lucky that I have an amazing husband who is a fantastic cook. So he makes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so I can't complain. And as I said, we try to have a diet that is very full of veggies and fruits and protein for me. He's a vegetarian, I'm not. We also try to stay creative as much as we can. Jamie has a studio, so he goes to his studio, which is in our backyard, an hour per day, and he works on either sculpting or painting. He's an artist, and we are making a docu-series about being pregnant in the times of a pandemic. Just, tell our experience, and hopefully maybe could help other women who are going through the same thing. So try to stay positive, try to have a sense of humor.
Wide awake right now. Baby's wide awake. But everything is great.
Dear Alma, you're going to be born into a very strange world. A time where we all humans had to take a pause, and nature a long needed break from us. But you will bring a breath of fresh air and the hope for a brand new future where we're kinder to each other and to Mother Nature. May this pandemic be the end of an antiquated way of treating the planet and the beginning of a new way of life.
Sobre mi madre, algo más de lo que hacíamos, porque puedo decir que yo la acompañaba, era sentarnos en la casa en Santo Domingo, que se llama Galería, no sé, porch creo que se dice aquí, y sentarnos ahí a comer mangos y a ver los vecinos y a decir, pero mira fulana, pero tú la viste. Parecíamos dos vecinas bochinchondo. Y eso creo que para un poquito como que me da risa ahora.
Actually, that's it. Like when people question why I don't have children, I think it's a choice and it should be a choice for everyone.
La mejor cosa de ser mujer es poder ser madre.
I'm really afraid of having kids and that they'll be like without control. I'm really scared of being a mom because I know that in this time to educate a child it's very difficult. So yeah, that.
Before COVID-19 created even more chaos for earthquake-shaken Puerto Rico, the island's teachers had already begun working with their communities by adapting new ways to continue their children's education. Judith Escalona has that story.
With low coronavirus rates in the southwestern part of Puerto Rico, the people are still fearing its spread. Compounding that fear are the recurring earthquakes that began in January, the morning after Three Kings Day.
We were almost going to start school, but after this earthquake, everything stopped. And we start waiting. Let's see what the Department of Education of Puerto Rico will tell us to do. And we're still waiting. But we saw our children having problems to stay calm, to assimilate the reality.
Esto que tú tienes aquí es cartílago, ¿verdad? Ese tiburón está compuesto de todo su cuerpo es compuesto de esto que tú tienes aquí arriba, el cartílago, ¿ok? So, imagínate tú con esta parte de arriba de la oreja en todo el cuerpo.
With ongoing tremors and school closings, teacher Carla Gonzalez found a way to help children and adolescents cope. She began an outdoor experiential learning program in a local park that incorporates Montessori student-centered learning.
So we thought about doing some academic stuff and getting together with them, but this kind of I will call it like a movement of love, is spreading and multiplying, and we're receiving calls from people to help and to teach.
Se conocen como pies tubulares y eso es lo que ellos utilizan junto con las espinas para moverse y para agarrarse de las piedras.
Lajas fue bien abatido después del terremoto, las escuelas del área sur no piensan abrir, así que de alguna manera este proyecto que nosotros hemos llamado Montessori en tu comunidad, que comenzó desde el 14 de enero en una primera reunión exploratoria de un grupo de asistentes de cuál podría ser nuestra respuesta Montessori a la crisis de los terremotos en el sur.
Graduate students from the University of Puerto Rico also offered to help.
Pienso que estar en un salón de clases, tomando notas todo el día, donde ellos están haciendo lo mismo casi siempre, todos los días, pues los desmotiva un poco. Y este tipo de actividades puede despertar esa curiosidad.
Eric Torres, graduate student in environmental studies, organized his colleagues at the university to become part of the Lajas initiative.
O sea, nosotros estamos trayendo temas de ciencia que muchas veces se presentan de forma teórica en las escuelas. Aquí al ver imágenes, traerles los organismos y que ellos tengan el contacto directo, pues son otras destrezas que ellos van desarrollando, así que entiendo que sí es una buena técnica.
Student Amaya Cruz shared her views about the program, while her proud father, Albert Cruz, looked on and heartily agreed.
Lo que más me gustó, no de esta situación de los temblores, pero como que esta situación nos unió más y pues de verdad que me encanta este lugar porque, no sé, es especial porque todo el mundo está unido, aprendemos y nos divertimos.
Learning outdoors can be fun, but it has its limits. With the hurricane season on its way and coronavirus restricting large gatherings, the community will again need to adapt. Power outages also make remote learning impractical. Undoubtedly, while Puerto Rico continues to take hits, the people will continue to innovate. Judith Escalona for LATiNAS.
In honor of Pride Month, Latinos recognizes Puerto Riqueña Gabby Rivera, the creator of Marvel's first queer Latina superhero, America Chavez.
Award-winning Harvard grad Natasha Alford is a powerhouse journalist and media entrepreneur who's not only the Vice President of Digital Content at the Griot, but also an advocate for Afro-Latinas worldwide. And that's why she's today's Latina on the Rise.
I think I felt different from other Latina girls at a very young age. I didn't think I was beautiful in the way that a Latina is considered to be beautiful. This sort of olive, mestiza, long, curly, wavy hair, that wasn't me. And I also felt that phenotypically, they just looked different from me. So my mother told me that I would be participating in a pageant, which was part of the Puerto Rican Day Parade and Heritage Celebration in my hometown. And I think I felt almost as if I didn't really belong. And so I thought, I'll do this pageant, but I probably won't win. And when I won, I was completely shocked, but also a little bit mortified and embarrassed because I felt like I'm not the Latina who should have won this. Especially growing up in the North, in a place like Syracuse, things are very black and white. So people would say, are you mixed? And because I didn't feel like I looked like the typical Latina on TV, I just thought, well, maybe I'll just say I'm black, and that will be much easier for people to understand. I'm African American and Puerto Rican, so it just goes to show that under that Afro-Latinx term, there are many different types of Afro-Latinas, right? There's Afro-Latinas from Honduras who are Garifuna, and they have their own particular culture. I think that it is true that when you are black but from another country, or you're black and you can say that you're Latino, it's like, oh, you're a different kind of black. You're not black like them, where people try to distance themselves from being like they're African American. And so I'm in no way ashamed to say that I am black, but specifically African American in that context. In Latino communities, we have a lot of love, but there are certain things that we say that we don't realize hurt people. And so even jokes about someone's skin color, or telling somebody they have pelo malo, which is bad hair, you know, you may say those things out of love and affection, and you see that person as just like you, but a lot of that is based in anti-blackness and believing that something is wrong with being black. My mother is a public school teacher, and her passion for education helped me to overcome any barrier. I got my master's degree at Northwestern University, Medill School of Journalism, and it was the best decision that I ever made. Mrs. King said that people would come after you. Mm-hmm. Why are you not afraid to challenge a company this big?
The people who are really suffering are the people who are living in fear.
As a journalist, I have a platform and really a microphone to the world. I stand for giving a voice to the marginalized, to people who are overlooked, to people who do not necessarily sit in boardrooms or positions of power. So I've been writing these stories through my grant from the Pulitzer Center, this Afro-Latinx, a revolution for Afro-Latinos, is the project that you will find on the Pulitzer Center site.
Aquí se dio un movimiento y se sigue dando un movimiento que se llama Diosas al Natural, que fue el primer movimiento que empezó a visibilizar y un proyecto fotográfico, de mostrar a las niñas y a las mujeres con el cabello natural.
In 2018, I won the NABJ Emerging Journalist of the Year Award, which was named after Michael J. Feeney, who was a journalist, an incredible journalist, who also served in the community, and he unfortunately passed away.
I would like to thank the members, the board, and the founders of NABJ for this incredible honor.
The story of being Afro-Latina as a journalist is one of visibility. I choose to do stories that make Afro-Latinx people visible. And so I hope through telling my story that, people will understand one side of life as an Afro-Latina.
That's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu or take a look at our social media profiles because we love sharing our Latina stories with you. And make sure you tune in next time when we'll share with you our very best stories from season 1 of LATiNAS. ¡Uepa! Make sure you watch. Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.